So this will be the next project. It's an cast iron case with enamel paint on it. And I guess a porcelain dial. I don't know. Some kind of dial. This is supposed to be gold trim. I painted that one. It was loose, so I took it off and put some paint on it to see what it would look like. It used to have bright gold on all these parts. Had the, I think, original key with it. And the lady gave me this one piece. She's like, I'm not sure if it goes with the clock or not. And I thought, well, that's just a plastic thing. And I tossed it in this bowl. And it was not plastic. So, luckily I didn't chip my bowl. But I have to see if this goes on there, which I don't think it does. I think that's a modern thing. And this clock is from 1880 to probably 1904. And I'll show you why I think that when we get into it. Everything is with it except I'm missing one grommet right there. So I ordered some grommets from somebody that had some for sale that they had, and I think one that was in there is going to fit in that hole, but I'm not sure until we check it out. I've messed with it to make it run. It didn't want to stay running. Has a round movement like a crystal regulator movement. I changed the suspension spring because without anything on it at all, with the suspension spring off, it would tick quite nicely. Put the suspension spring on and it would bind up on the escapement wheel, the teeth of the pallet. So it's been running for a week or so. I can't remember when I got it. But it's got a wooden bottom down there. Nice gong. And these little guys holding the whole movement to the front. And so I'm going to take this whole case apart. It's got screws in the back. You can take the whole back off. I'm going to take the movement out first. And take this all apart. Kind of clean it up some. When I took this off, this enamel paint that was behind this piece was a nice green with kind of a yellowish white little fleck in it, and a little stripy looking pattern like some kind of grass or something. This is real dingy, like it's been waxed and the wax turned brown, or cigarette smoke, nicotine, something. So I'm going to work on getting the case restored a little bit cleaner, looking a little bit better. And I bought some bright gold spray paint to redo these things. So I've been excited to get in there and get it apart and see what's going on, because it looks like a cool little movement. Inside of this thing, let me turn this back a little bit. This was the work that was done. It's an Ansonia, Monaco. I stuck that little sticker on there to remind me what model it was. It was cleaned, lubed, repaired, worn bushings, W Coffee, 12 of 1996, and he said it was circa 1886 to 1901. Value now $250 to $350. That was in 1996. And it was oiled, repaired, and the chimes repaired chimes and regulated in 93. So the lady that I bought this from, her grandmother had this clock. And she lived more toward the East Coast. This W.E. Coffee was in the Raleigh area. And I think he has since died or closed his shop. It was an older guy. And the grandmother was getting older, so she didn't take it to be serviced for the last almost 30 years. Next year will be 30 years since it's been serviced. So the fact that it'll run at all is pretty amazing. Had the weight down in the bottom of it. I bought this one and a porcelain one from this lady. They were a very nice couple. Enjoyed visiting with them. And I'll work on the porcelain one later. It doesn't have any chips or anything. It's amazing, and it's about as old as this one. But it's even bigger than this clock. Got a lot of detail on it. So I'll share that one too when I get to it. The only markings I can find, it says Ansonia Clock Company and New York. And when Ansonia's company moved to New York, it was 1879, but they started making clocks about 1880. And then the factory burned, but they got up and running again in 1881. So that's why I say it's like 1880 to 1901. The 1904 catalog, I can't find this model. I can't find it in any catalogs after 1900. There aren't very many before 1900 to find it in. So anyway, at least I have a name, and I have approximate age, 20-year estimate, 25 years or so estimate. It's at least 100 years old, so let's see what's going on in there. I would remind everybody to take the pendulums off before they pick up their clocks and move them around, any of the Mantle clocks. I'm pretty sure that's why the suspension spring on it was originally bent up. The granddaughter, who was probably my age, in her 60s, she didn't know what to do with clocks. When I got to her house, they were both laid on their back in a box, and the pendulums were down inside. Even the porcelain one, like it could rattle around in there and damage something. She didn't even realize the pendulums were down inside, so they were probably on the movements, and she carried them and she laid them in the box and they moved around. So I just carried this from the living room in here to my desk to work on it. I took this off first. It just saves you having to replace the suspension spring. Hand nuts coming off easily. And it's got the longer slot for the hand. Hands are in pretty good shape. They might have used to have been blued. A little bent. People bend the hands for some reason when they go to move it, I guess. So I'll straighten that back out. And there's our pretty little hour hand. It's more black than this one, so this one's been handled more as people set the time, rubbed some of the black stuff off. But they'll work nicely. I don't see any screws around here. Manufactured by the Ansonia Clock Company, New York, United States of America. And the trademark is an A and a square with a diamond, and it says trade and mark along the side of it. My slow fast adjustment is up here. When I was reading about Ansonia, they were around 1900, they were making about 450 clocks. By the 1915 World War I era, it dwindled substantially, and by 1920 they were selling the whole business, so, or 1925, somewhere in there. So they were really booming for a while. I think possibly moving it and the people that they merged with and it going to Brooklyn had a lot to do with it. But the guy that, I wish I could tell you names, I never can remember names. The man that became part of the company in the 1870s and moved the company to New York because that's where he lived. Had a lot of innovative designs. He was the one that got them to expand into the figurines and the crystal regulators and the novelty clocks and stuff. So, let's see. I really don't know what I'm going to get into in here. I'm fighting with my light right now, so pardon my arm. It doesn't like to hold at certain angles. You unscrew it and turn the light and screw it back down. It's got a magnifying glass on it and everything. And sometimes at certain angles when you go to screw this thing back down, it just lets the whole thing fall out of that clamp. So I fight with it from time to time. Alright, so some light is on the work. That's about as good a view as I can get. I'm trying to decide if I should take the bottom off first. Probably. I just don't know. I think if I take these two screws out, it's all going to remove from the front. I'm pretty sure, because there's no screws on the front. I think I can slip the whole thing forward if I undo these two screws. So I'm going to put a hand on it out here. And loosen these and see what happens. It's one of those let's see what happens things. I don't think that will come off. I need that third hand. Anybody want to give me a hand here? Just reach right through the camera there and hold this door up out of my way for me. I'm trying to hold this door up, hold the front of the clock movement, and unscrew it at the same time. Okay, that one is coming out. I thought I'd fight with it first, because this one I can at least see. You see it's ticking away there. Alright, let's see if it's coming forward. There we go. Got it. That wasn't too bad. Where'd my towel go? Okay, that's all I see. Ansonia Clock Company, New York, USA, and the Ansonia symbol there. I don't see anything else hiding on here. Argong leather looks okay. This is the new suspension spring that I put on. The old one was a little bit shorter and a little bit heavier, and this was a little bit heavier. And it wouldn't fit through the hole right there, so I felt like it was a replacement, because you should be able to slip this up from the bottom and put the pin in to hold it, and the other one was too big to do that. So I made it a little bit longer where it would have a little bit more action on my pendulum, and it started working good. Those look very dry. My springs definitely, well, maybe not. That was some oil on the outside. It's just really clean. It didn't even look like it had oil on it. That one doesn't. Anyway, after 30 years, what would you expect? You would expect it to not have oil, right? So these little arms are just riveted. No screw there. So I can remove this from the face, because I've taken the hands off already. Alright, so let's do that. So I see 3 screws. Oh, I see something written on the back of the porcelain there. That was another service date, 98, I think. But anyway, I got excited for a second. Okay, so there's our little round movement. Interesting. Little spring on here. Don't know what that's for. That's our rack and the arm that hits the snail. This is the lock. Yes, this one's very interesting. There's our little hook for our warning and stop pin. It's real scratchy. It's got like grooves in the hook. Bent around there. I can see that one of the pallets is pretty well grooved from hitting the escapement wheel. The other one is the inside one. I can't see it as good, but this one out here I can see it's got a nice big groove in it. But look how clean it is. 30 years since it was cleaned. It's striking. Okay, let's see what's on the back of this. There's half of that. The front half's missing. The back half's still on, and it looks like they just soldered the two pieces together. So I wish I had that front half. All three of these look like they might be about the same. Anyway, TCM 36 of 98. So it got serviced in 98. I wanted to see how thick this was for my replacement one that I'm going to try to get. I ordered just a random batch of grommets that someone had for sale. And because I saw one online that looked like it might work. Like this one might work. And then this is my real cool whale oil that I got with my OG clock. That's 1876. I'm soaking one in that oil because it looked like it was two pieces pressed together. Like, see how that ring that was sitting on the back, the ring that was sitting on the back pressed onto the piece that comes through, and this one that's in the oil looked like it was two pieces pressed together also. So I was trying to make it come apart a little bit easier. I've struggled with it a little bit already. This is the back flange, and that's the front lip, and there was a little gap right here. So I've tried with a screwdriver to widen it and get the two pieces apart. And I tried with a screwdriver, like thinking it was a screw action to get them apart. And then I sanded the back thinking maybe they were kind of peened over. This outside one was peened over that one to keep it together. It's not coming apart in any way, shape, or form. So between these two, I'm going to get a new one on there. Won't be that one. That one's too big. This one is the right size, but if I can't get it apart, I can't get it through the hole. So I may end up cutting it apart because it's the right size. Oh well, we'll see when we get there, right? Don't need to worry about it yet. Most important thing, do not damage this wonderful face. It does not have any chips or cracks in it. The paint is still great on it. Okay. I'll take a look at the case. I'm going to take this whole back off, except I just put my screwdriver somewhere. There are some numbers right here kind of scratched on it. 10545, 14215. So I don't know what those are. 105 of 45, maybe it was serviced. But I don't know what 14215 would be. Alright, let's see if the back wants to come off. Yeah, the legs are attached on the back. I need to take the legs and everything off first. So here's the bottom. My gong for 3 screws holding this wooden plate in the bottom. Let's compare different screws. Bottom is held on by a bigger screw. So I'm going to put these in a separate part so I can keep them all straight. And take this gong out. This they hollowed out to let the pendulum have a little bit more swing. But I'll clean it up. It's pretty clean. I don't see any rust on it, but I'll wipe it down and clean the wood up some more. Okay, if I take these front legs off, when I take the back off, it will sit flat. It says 176 in the pour of the cast iron. If you've never had a cast iron clock, they are exceedingly heavy. And there's a staple piece of a pin. That's the pin I lost when I changed the suspension spring. That's the little pin that was originally in it. These feet were gilt. They were gold plated at some point. As you can see from the back side, there's very little gold left. It's almost like it was removed, because normal wear and tear, you would still have a bunch of it in the grooves and stuff, and it's just gone. Like inside here, it would still be there because it was dipped, and it would be on all these inside surfaces, and there isn't any. You can barely see a sheen here, so it's like someone removed it on purpose. Alright, I gotta get some pliers for that. That way it will sit flat. Hang on. So these front decorative pieces, they have a screw built into the back of them and they're just held on with a nut. And you can see that screw is still gold plated right there. It's about the most gold I've seen on the thing. There's a little bit more on the back of this piece. Alright, now if I slide this back off, it should sit flat. So there's our back plate. Original enamel ran down the inside. There's that 176. The door is just riveted on, so it's not going to come off. And then there's the matching 176. There's 3 nuts here to go with these last 3 decorative pieces. So if I clean this off, it's like it's got old wax. Look, it's kind of even clean and shiny when I get the old gunky stuff on. You can see it's a real pretty shiny black, and it's a nice shade of green. And this is an off-white. So it's much prettier the way it used to be. It's all just kind of brown right now. So we're going to work on getting back to that very gently, because I don't want to remove any enamel paint from my cast iron. That's pretty dirty. Alright, these last 3 are coming off of there. This one I know will come off because it keeps getting loose. Someone held it and turned the key a lot. This one wants to be loose all the time. And this is the top one. I've cleaned it up already and realized that was all the gold that was left. A lot of times when you clean them, the gold will come back out because what's on it is tarnish, but that wasn't the case. So this is just some gilt paint I rubbed on there. See what it would look like. It came out decent, but I wanted a brighter, shinier yellow, so I got a can of shiny metallic spray paint that I'm going to put on there. Sorry, you're looking at my desk. Isn't it exciting? Not too. Turn the camera, Cheryl. Alright, let's see if we can get you down in there a little bit. That's better. You can see in here too. There's the left front, curves in. And there's the right front. It's pretty little decorations. Alright, so that is ready to go to the kitchen and get cleaned. Gonna look pretty good if I can get it back to this. So I haven't started on the movement yet. Here's where I am on the case. This is where the pieces were attached. And I'm trying to make it look more like that. I haven't had much luck getting this stuff off around here. I've tried a couple different things. Nothing's really worked. I tried some ammonia cleaner first. Didn't do much. I tried some 409, thinking it was waxy buildup stuff. It didn't do much. I'm going to scrub on it some more and see if I can get any more of that off of there. The good news was the feet and ornamental parts. I put them in the ammonia solution to get them good and clean before I painted them, and the more I scrubbed on them, the more gold they turned. Someone had painted them silver, so it was getting the paint off. So I've got to get some paint remover, and these will be gold again because this gold is electroplated on. It's not going to come off with a cleaning solution. So that was some good news. This is more what I expected to see when I turned it over. I expected to see some gold on the back, like the screws were. Apparently they covered the screws when they painted it. And so I'm hopeful to get them back to being gold like they used to be. Still lots of paint on them, but I know what's under that paint. I'm pretty tired this morning, so I'm just working on the case because that doesn't take a whole lot of mental paying attention like if I was working on the movement. This is my progress so far. You can see now that I've got it off, that brown haze that's on it everywhere. This is I think it's a 4.0 steel wool I took to it to get it off. It's some kind of waxy material that really doesn't want to let go of the enameled paint, so I'm just putting pressure and slowly sanding it down till I get down to the pretty colored paint underneath it, and then put a little wax on it, and that seems to be doing the trick. It's going to look pretty when it's all done. This is the halfway mark. Got the front half and this side done. It's decent. It's not wonderful, but it's got a lot more color than it did have. That's kind of how it did look. Just brown. Coming along. I'm going to do the other half. I can't remember if I recorded or not, so I'm going to do it again. Here, this is the case restoration. Came out with a lot more detail. So I'm pretty happy with that. I've actually got some white instead of just brown. The green's a little brighter. So it's got nice little detail on it. A whole lot more than it had. But the feet, I'm still working on. I've got about half the paint off. So right now I have half gold and half silver ornament pieces. I don't have what I need, which is paint stripper. I tried some paint thinner. I've tried some gasoline. And I've got about half the paint off and the gold coming through some. And the gold is probably pretty tarnished and gone in some places. That's probably why they painted it in the first place. So probably have to end up painting it again, but it'd be nice if it kind of looked like that without the silver. So I'll keep working on these. This top piece is the most damaged, of course, because whoever wound it held it, and that's why it was loose and needed, the whole thing needed to be repainted because they would grab it at the top. So after, and it was loose. So after it got redone, they were apparently left-handed because there's most damage to the side of the case right here where they would grab it and hold it to wind it. This clock probably weighs 10 pounds. You don't need to hold it at all to wind it. You don't have to touch it ever. You just put the key in and wind it. It's not going to slide around. But people do what they do. So I'll try to get these a little golder. Here are my feet and my ornament parts. I have tried gasoline. I have tried sanding. It polished up the paint really nicely, but it still didn't remove the paint. This is about 3 hours soaking in my clock cleaning solution with ammonia. It got off some more of it. The only thing that's taken it off was the first time when I cleaned them with ammonia and then letting it soak in ammonia. It took maybe half of the paint off. I can see gold on parts of it. I don't know if it shows up on the camera really well, but so I just made a new batch of clock cleaning solution, and I'm going to heat it up to probably 45 degrees. I've read online about how to get paint off of metal. And there's some boiling methods, and there's like a slow cooker method. The heat seems to make the paint release from the metal. There's my recipe. 3 parts ammonia, 1 part Murphy's oil soap, 1 part of Mr. Clean. But you can use Pine Sol or Simple Clean. And you swish your parts around in there for 5 minutes. That's what removed the initial paint, but not all of it. And so I'm going to try heating it in the ultrasound with the clock cleaning solution and see if I can get the rest of this paint off of here. I think I left out that I also tried this paint stripper. Supposed to paint it on with a thick brush and let it sit for 20 minutes and then scrape off the paint. That didn't do anything. I let it soak in it forever. It didn't do anything. So I've tried everything. I've tried ammonia solutions, I've tried stripper, I've tried sanding, I've tried gasoline, and so now I'm back to the ammonia solution with heat and vibration. So let's hope this might be the trick to get it clean finally. I'm about ready to start on the movement. You probably can't see it because my light's in the way. My movement has been sitting here on the little test stand for a while, and you can see the springs are pretty unwound. It's been running pretty nicely. I've been watching it to see how the strike works and everything, so I'll show you that and then we'll take it apart. So rack and snell, this little thing with the spring down here, also a little spring up in here, rests on the back of the center arbor that's got the cams on it that lifts it. So when it lifts it, there's a tab on the top right here that catches a warning pin on the 4th wheel. 1, 2, 3, the 4th wheel. And then when it drops back, it lets it strike. And when it lifts further, it does the hour. This little hook here is what stops it. This arbor is my gong. But there's a pin on the 3rd wheel also that catches on that little hook to stop the strike. when it's done. So I'm ready to secure these springs and take this apart. Spring clamps are on. I've let them down into the clamps. I took off the 2 screws holding this little regulator guy on. This just slides out of that hole once you've taken that off. And I took the gong off, one little screw there. And I've looked at where everything is. Pin on the 3rd wheel is in that little hook. The pin on the 4th wheel likes to be at about 11 o'clock. When it is locked. And the pin on the gathering pallet is just off of the teeth. So that's what I'm going to shoot for when I put it back together. I've only seen one other video online on this round type movement, and these guys don't come off very easily at all. There's a brass spacer piece at the top, and then they pin the end of the arbor over it. So I think I'm going to have to leave these 2 pieces on. I'm going to take off this little lever. If I can. So I can clean in there good. And then this has a little S wire through the intermediate wheel. Smaller screwdriver. Straighten that up some. Alright, I got the little pin straight enough to slip it out of there. Lets me get the washer off. Then lifting up the rack, the snail should slip off of there. It's pretty clean. The intermediate wheel doesn't want to come off over the little holes in the arbor. There we go. And it has a little attached spacer on the bottom. So here are the 2. I still can't see them, can I? They're on the back side of this. There's an area that's pinned down in the brass that hits this lever right here. I can't turn it without a hand on it. Maybe I can. Okay, so that space is staying on. It's got the 2. It's got a little spring right there. This piece is staying on, but I can take the gathering pallet off. It's not quite in the right spot because it's trying to catch the teeth. There it goes. And then we'll be ready to take the 4 screws out. I think my little hand pullers are going to work to get under there. It's just enough room to get under it. Just not much metal to brace against, but it's coming up slowly. There we go. A little gunk on the back of that. Alright, so now we can take these out for nuts. This one is a little bit loose because these are riveted on that mount the movement to the case, and this one is a little figure of 8 on there. So the front plate has a pin right here that this spring is wound to, so when I lift this up, it's going to come off with the front plate. I'm not going to try to remove that. Alright, so here's our movement. I'll take the time side out first. It's really pretty clean to not be in service for a long, long time. Delicate little pivots. And this guy is badly worn. No, it was oil on there. It wiped right off. It looked like a big groove in it, but it was just the oil with the dirt. Pretty smooth. That's good. Thought I had a lot of work to do on it. one needs a bit of polishing. A little bit rough. And this one has the little star on it for the gong lever. And my holder's probably in the way for me to take that off, but it looks like it's just looped around this post one time. There's our gong lever. Little flapper right there. A little bit of polishing needed. Alright, let's get our springs out of here. The springs look really good. And there's our back plate. Good bit of oil on that. So I need to get all these parts cleaned. Right now my ultrasound is being used to try to get the paint off of the accent pieces. So I have to stop here and go scrub on them some more. I'm doing, it's at 46 degrees Celsius on the ultrasound cleaner, and I'm setting it for 20 minutes at a time and going out and scrubbing on it with steel wool, and I've got about half the paint off so far, and I've done at least 6 cycles of 20 minutes at least. It's really slow coming off. They've probably put more than one layer of paint and baked it on, or heat cooked it on in between the layers, so it's been quite a process getting it off. The 20 minutes, another 20-minute cycle is done on my ultrasound. Keeping them in there, keeping them warm. Coming over here with steel wool, and I'm slowly getting there. But it's going to be an all-day process. Parts are turning gold, but there's still a whole lot of silver on there. But at least this way I'm actually seeing some kind of results when I'm trying to scrub on it. I'll show you the different parts. A little more gold showing. So some parts will be done before others, but I've tried so many different things. But it's slowly going to get there. I can clean my springs and lube them and put them back on the winders while I'm waiting. All that ultrasound solution's got paint and steel wool little particles and stuff, so all of it's going to have to be dumped and make a new one to clean this movement. So I'm going to keep working on the feet outside and work on the springs in here. Take my let down tool, turn backwards, and it should release the spring. And then I can hold this in my hand. Just slide the clip off. It's on there pretty tight. This one slid out easily, of course, because I wasn't videoing. There it goes. Now it's a smaller one. That is the time side. Definitely tighter than the strike side. And looks longer, but maybe it's just because it's wound tighter. But we can get those cleaned. Okay, springs are clean and oiled. Case is done. I finally gave up after about 6 hours of trying to soak off the old paint and scrubbing on it with the steel wool. I just repainted them. So that's how the case came out. And here's my parts all clean. And I'm going to get these springs wound back up and back on these little guys. I've checked already. I've cleaned the plates with a little bit of mothers to make them look as shiny as I wanted, and cleaned out the pivot holes with toothpicks. Some of them are really tiny. All these have been rebushed, so I've checked for slop and they don't need any bushing work. So I'm going to get the springs back on these guys. So I've wound this one up. This is how I rewind springs onto my main arbor. Look in there, figure out which way it goes, look at your pictures, make sure you're winding the spring the right way. Put the second wheel on. Put the case on. Put 3 screws. I put something here to keep the second wheel from spinning, which is my heavy duty metal pointer from my soldering kit. Put it down through the case and I can just wind and tighten it up, slip my clamp back on. So let me get this screwed together. So I found a spot where I could put this that it would brace against the case. There's not a hole on the other side. Sometimes on clocks you can slip this straight through and it'll hold better. I'm going to hold it myself. Start winding. And I do like to oil them before I put them in here. They slip together much more nicely. I've got some mainspring lubricant. I just put on a lint-free cloth and rub on one side. As it rubs together, it'll spread on both sides. You won't have an over-oiled, drippy thing. Then I just have to let it down a little bit, which takes a little finagling. You need 3 hands to do this when there's not a hole in the case. I have to hold on to this so that it doesn't spin on me. And then let my click out some and slowly release this thing. Keep an eye on where that spring is, the spring clamp. I like to keep it kind of in the center of the spring. If these were bigger, I would have it more up toward that end so it couldn't slip off, but not an option with this little clock. Alright. So I'll take these back off, be ready to put the clock back together. All I've done is take the 3 screws off I had put on. Let's see, I've got to look at my pictures to see which of these wheels goes which. I believe this one is next, but I'm going to double check and look at my pictures. Usually they go larger, smaller, all the way up to the escapement wheel. But these are so close in size, I want to double check. Alright, so I have a picture that shows from the top, and this is the 3rd wheel. So I would have put it in backwards. Then I would have had to take it back apart. So this one goes down. And the escapement wheel. Yeah, I don't have those in the right place. Okay, and then the verge goes in that little guy. Alright, time sides in. So the little hook that catches it is about 9 o'clock, I believe. I'll double check in my pictures, and this little pin was at about 11 o'clock. So that's what I'm trying to set up right there. That guy goes there, and this guy goes here. No. That guy goes there, and this guy goes here. Yes, this is the hook that catches the pin. I had them backwards. This is the one with the little shovel on it to catch these teeth and make the gong go. So I have to put the spring back on that arbor. Alright, I'll be back. I got my little spring back on there, so I tested it and it's not pulling it back at all. So I gotta tighten this up some more. It's gotta be able to snap back so that it hits on the next little pallet like it's supposed to. And I had the pallet on upside down, and I had it sticking down here. I put it through the case and put it on the right way, so you might have noticed that that was upside down. Alright, I got it a little snugger. It's not flipping back every time, but it's flipping back sometimes. And you'll notice my arbor post is pretty close over here, so when I put the top on, that's going to put extra tension on the spring, and it should be what I want, flipping back each time. But I'm not going to know till I put it together, so I may have to take it back apart. We'll see. Can't find the center hole. Took quite a bit of finagling to get all the parts back in there, but everything is finally in its pivot hole. I got my thumb on this little guy. Got it hooked in on the spring right there, on the locking pin. So I'm going to hold it there and put this on. I need 3 hands. To get this where I want it. I do not have enough hands. Okay. All right. Got no pin on it, so it's not going to stop. I need to put that on the... All right, I gotta figure out what is gonna keep that from springing that way. I want it to spring that way, but not when it's locked. Alright, I gotta play with it some more and figure out what to do there. Took a little bit of playing, but I finally think I figured it out. I didn't take that wire off of that post. It just fell off while I was cleaning. And when I put it back on, I wrapped it the wrong way. In the pictures, it looked like it came from here and went under and around that post, but it goes over and around that post. The little overlap is right up top, and I couldn't see it in the pictures. So I think I've got it adjusted right. It's when this lever pushes it away, it's snapping back against that. And then the other thing you have to check is when this pushes it away, does this little hook clear the post? Because when it goes into warning, it's got to move it far enough out that this can turn past it. So it's just passing it. And then when this gets lifted, it goes back, it comes around and catches. I can't show you all that right now. because I don't have any tension on my spring, but I can try it. There it goes. Well, you couldn't see it. It was up off the screen. I have to raise the camera when I pick the piece up. That's what I got to remember. Okay. So this is going to come over. This is going to get pushed over by that. Bump that. Let that fall down. And with pressure on the spring, it'll lift, and that'll go into warning, and that'll pass that. And then as that's raised back up, that comes back in. I'm still not happy with how tight that spring is, because it's still not wanting to come back in all the way. It comes back part of the way, but it's not all the way. This needs to rest up against there to catch that really well. If it's staying out there, it may or may not catch. So I need to make my spring a little bit tighter. Put a little bit more twist on my spring. So now let's see what happens when the thing goes up, pushes on there, fan's starting to turn, it's in warning. And it is always double clicked in the little slot. I don't know why. That would be the half hour. It would only go to there. Then on the hour, it's going to go to there. Alright, I'm about ready to put some other parts on the front. Snail, intermediate wheel, hands are back on. I didn't tighten this little wire on the intermediate wheel washer yet because I was letting it run through a little bit to see where it was going to fall at 12:30, 1 o'clock. So far so good. It's doing all right. I did straighten this up a little bit. Someone had kind of torqued it. I thought maybe that would help with the double bouncing. I did. What else did I do? I did make sure that the little hook on the side was not bouncing off of the lock pin as it went by, because I thought it was at one point. But that wasn't because of the double bounce. And it doesn't always lock. So I need to make a little bit of an adjustment on my locking wire. I put it where when it was down here in a slot that the pin and the arm were just barely passing, but then I adjusted this so it affected when that was hitting, so I've got to adjust it a little bit more. So it should be locking as it goes by right now, and it's missing, but just barely. I can barely touch it and it will catch. And so part of that might be that this little arm is not going all the way to the tab that it locks on. Let's see where it goes. It's all the way up against there. Okay, so I need to adjust that little thing. It's very close. Tiny less than a millimeter off, because I can touch it and it will catch. Alright, so to test my 12, make sure it does 12 at 12 o'clock. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Alright, so now I need to know if the snail is going to get hung up, if the rack lever is going to get hung up inside the snail. It's kind of curved a little bit inside there. So I want to know if at 12:30 it shouldn't fall far enough to get stuck. It should stay up in the air. But there it is going into warning at 12:30. And you'll see that it is sitting on top of the snail. At 12:30, it's turned enough to just catch the very point of the snail. The snail's kind of curved that way, and it sticks out a little bit, and that little arm is just falling on it. So if it was falling inside there, I would be afraid that as it was in warning and moving a couple minutes more, it might get hung up, but it's falling right at the very tip of that, so I'm happy with that. And then 1 o'clock. You'll notice it doesn't bounce in this one or at the bottom one. And I found a video online that goes over the movement. Yeah, that's a great picture there. No wonder you're looking through my magnifying glass. Okay, let's get you over here in front of the computer. And I've slowed it down to half speed so I could watch it, because his didn't look like it was doing a double bounce. Where's my mouse? There it is. But when I slowed it down, it was still double bouncing in each little groove, so. Doesn't bounce quite as much as mine does. I still don't think I've got the angle right on this little lever that goes into the teeth, but it's close enough. So I just searched Ansonia round movement. This is a really cool movement is what I've discovered. It was in their figural clocks. And when I was cleaning it and everything, the plate is really nice, and as it cleaned up I noticed all of the major arbors were blued, the screws, the nuts, everything was blued on it, so it was pretty cool. I enjoyed working on it. I'm gonna enjoy getting it back in the case because I'm tired of working on it. Those feet wore me out. I was sick of working on those feet. Alright, it ran good overnight on the test stand. Just laid it on the face and put the 3 screws back, holding the movement to the face. And there's my face. There's my new whatchamafiddle, goes around there. What I ended up doing was taking the one from the middle and putting it down there because it would match perfectly, and then made a new one for the middle, because with the hands on you aren't going to notice that it's a little bit different. So let's see if I can get this back in here. I'm holding it by one arm that was sticking out there. Alright, 1 screw. I have not put the bottom back on with the gong yet. I think it's catching. Yeah. Alright, it's a little snug. It's not super tight. Let's see if we got it straight up and down. It's kind of tilted over that way. So the good part about these is you can adjust them. Probably too far. Yeah, pretty close. A little bit back the other way. I doubt it's level because my desk is not level. Yeah, way off. Anyway, I gotta get a level on this before I make too many adjustments. Let's see about the bottom. I have no idea if the gong lever will be anywhere near the right place. Take that pendulum off. You should always take the pendulum off before you move it around. That protects that suspension spring from getting torqued. Might be about the right place. Alright, I gotta flip it upside down and put 3 screws in the bottom. Just holding it on my lap. I know better. You don't ever tighten them down until you get all of them in there. Alright. I'm going to put the hands back on and call it good. I'll get this the pendulum leader wire adjusted right. Let's see where we are. If I can. It's hard to do without the hand nut on there. It really doesn't like to turn. That looks better. Seemed to go down a little better. Alright, that should be the half hour. That's not going on my little slotted spot very good. I got this, I had that sty last month. This month my eyes, there's something going on. One eye doctor put me back on antibiotics. It was in both eyes now, redness and stuff, and Then I talked to my ophthalmologist today on the weekend. He's a friend, so I could text him, and he said, no, stop the antibiotics. He doesn't think it's bacterial. He thinks it might be viral, so it's really hard to see. It's affecting my vision. My vision's blurry. It's hard to see what I'm doing, so sorry y'all had to watch me struggle just putting hands on. Five o'clock. It's got a nice sound. Okie dokie. So all that's left is to get this level somehow. I don't even know how to check for level. The movement's round. Everything is round. I don't know. But I will get it done. It's a little tricky once you got the gong in there to get this guy in there. It's kind of tight on space. So I'm going to put it in the living room where it lived before I make too many adjustments, because I know my desk tilts to my right. The floor in there, who knows which way it tilts. The house is 100 plus years old, so I'm going to put it on the table that it belongs on and then get it in beat again. It was in beat when I had it on my stand, but it's not anymore in the case, because I could have it turned just a little bit one way or the other, thinking I've got the 12 and 6 straight up and down, and it could be off a little, but I think it will be close enough. Alright, that's going to be a wrap. I got it back in here on the table where we started. It was pretty easy to get to the back and adjust that little crutch, because it's got the clutch system at the top, so I could easily just move it a little bit one way or the other way and get it in beat. So it's been running close to 4 hours. I think it came out pretty good. I gotta put my little sticker on the back. I forgot to do that, so I'll know when I serviced it. I'll put it back here with the other ones. I've got just the name on there, but I'll put the date of when I serviced it on there. So I hope this helped. Thanks for watching, everybody. And all y'all that have little figure clocks or other Ansonia iron clocks that have the round movements in it, I hope it helps you get them working like they're supposed to. Leave me some comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.